Imagine being in a dark, desolate place, devoid of all feeling, of all love, being reduced to an animalistic level, only getting intimacy from drugs. Unfortunately, this is a place I found myself in not too long ago. According to Stephen Covey, in his award-winning book, The 7 Habits to Highly Successful People, he says that the single most important part of interpersonal communication is the need to understand before being able to be understood. Once an addict is able to understand that they are not alone and that they can stop using drugs and find a new way of life, they're finally able to relate to the world again and feel whole. In this speech, I will talk about that once an addict is able to understand that they are powerless, they can find a solution through the steps and find communication within themselves. I'll also talk about that they will be able to relate to another and have intimate conversation and communication with the sponsor. And finally, they'll be able to relate to a society and become part of the fellowship. Once an addict is able to become honest with themselves and have the first real honest communication with themselves in a long time, they'll able to start working on a solution and find a new way of life. In The Portable Niche, translated by Walter Kaufman, Nietzsche discusses that there's no real such thing as facts, only what people see as facts, in their perception of what is really true. Addicts are prone to lie to themselves for a very long time, living in a fantasy land for sometimes years, lying about how they feel, what their health is like, and what they're doing to others. Once they realize that they're living in this fantasy lie and they can recognize their issue, they're able to communicate this with themselves and get honest with themselves for the first time in a very long time. Once they recognize this problem, they can start working towards a solution. Once an addict is faced with this reality and they're no longer able to live in this fantasy world and they have this communication with themselves, they only have one choice: to reach out and get some help. Now that the addict has reached out and they've recognized the problem within themselves, they need to reach out and have intimate communication with the sponsor. In Dale C. Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, he makes it very clear that a big aspect of being able to get along with others is being able to admit when you are wrong, even when you don't want to. In a sponsor-sponsee relationship, this is absolutely necessary because if there is no communication and you're not able to be honest with the sponsor, there's no way that he's able to help you. Once you're able to trust and confide in this sponsor, it is easy to talk about when you're wanting to use or when you're hurting internally, and he can talk to you about it and able to help you. Having this intimate communication and being able to communicate about what's going on makes it easy to recognize your feelings and work on a solution towards making them better. Plus, once you have this relationship with the sponsor and you're able to talk about how you really feel, he's able to notice when you're lying to him through nonverbal cues and maybe help you learn a different aspect of yourself. So, just as it's important to have this intimate communication with the sponsor and show love with him, for addicts, one is always good, but more is better. That's why it's extremely important to become involved in the fellowship and in enveloping yourself in an intimate communication with a group of people that have the same goal and want the same thing as you. Having this communication and being involved in this fellowship can allow yourself to relate to others and get your problems on the table and vent in a way that can turn a terrible day into a great day. In the book, Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham, he discusses that morality is not based on what's good and bad, but rather by not hurting anyone. By being involved in a fellowship and having people you can bounce these ideas off of, they can help determine if you are hurting someone or if you're being okay. So clearly, it's very important if you are an addict to reach out, have internal communication with yourself, have intimate communication with the sponsor, become involved in a group that you're able to communicate freely with, and discuss how you feel often. Once you can have these things, you're able to start getting honest with yourself and find a new solution. According to drugabuse.gov, in 2016, 64,000 people died of an overdose. This doesn't include drug-related accidents, murders related to drug dealing, or any other drug accidents that may have caused death. Imagine if someone's able to have this communication and they're able to talk to other people, how much different this number could be. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Do you think that being in NA helps you communicate better with people outside of NA?
Yeah, I think that once I was able to learn how to communicate with people that are the same as me, or able to relate to people that have the same problems as me, it's helped me ease my anxiety and help talk to people outside of the program.
What is the primary purpose of NA?
So essentially, through the Narcotics Anonymous program, you learn how to find a new way of life. And in doing that, it's not just about not using drugs, but it's about having a different way of life and being able to help other people. If no one else has any questions, thanks for being here today, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good day.